Steve and Will reunited. I had to do a solo today, Will. It wasn't the same. I know you were working, as you say, but I secretly know where you were. You were secretly out on that yacht again, weren't you?
Unreal. Unbelievable. I
But
was receiving gifts, though, Steve. I was receiving gifts.
Yeah, like
the kids.
What kind of gifts?
The kids got me.
Drip.
Kids got me this little gym.
Oh,
yeah. Got some Lions drips from the kids, man.
We kind of hinted at something yesterday, Will, and I think it's time. I think it's time we just dive in. Deep end of the pool, sink or swim. What are we talking?
I'm fearful of what we're talking today. So if you would be so kind to hit the subscribe button if you have not, and please become a member if you want to win some stuff now. Do it right now before we get talking, because sometimes, Steve, when negative comments are made by anyone or about anyone that wears Honolulu blue, things get really ugly and people say not so nice things. And I'm not even saying that this is going to be a negative episode, because I don't think that it's necessarily going to be that. But full disclosure, this started with a conversation that I was having with a gentleman that I will let remain nameless, but he is a football guy. And he told me that he believed that a rookie that the Detroit Lions drafted this season by the name of Isaac Tesla, he could see him potentially receiving 1,000 yards receiving out of Isaac Tesla on his rookie campaign. And as you can imagine, I looked up at him and I said, "Are you absolutely nuts?" Now, listen.
Were you picturing my face when you said that? Because
I was. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy to me. So he went on to say that he could see him being similar to a guy who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, like maybe best receiver ever in the NFL, in none other than Megatron. So, Steve, I gotta pump the brakes on this Isaac Tesla. He doesn't have an NFL reception yet. I feel like things are getting crazy. They're getting out of hand. So I guess we set the table starting this thing with, are you seeing or getting Megatron vibes from Isaac Tesla?
William, there's a reason I'm chuckling like a schoolgirl tonight, and it's because we kind of talked about this yesterday. Boy, a lot to dive into with this topic. Like, I don't even know where this journey will lead us tonight, but I've been on the Isaac Tesla train since I found out we had an unofficial or official visit before the draft. Like, I started looking at the kid and I was like, I really like what I see. The 1,000 yards isn't that crazy to me. It's not hard to get 1,000 yards in the NFL with an extra game, with the way the league is designed, with it being a passing friendly offense. I'm not banking on it getting 1,000 yards because I don't see Jared Goff having 3 receivers with 1,000 yards. And I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to flirt with 1,000 yards receiving. I think he'll be in the 7 to 800 yard range receiving. It's just the odds aren't in his favor. But when you start, I think I might even have brought this up when I said the greatest wide receiver in Detroit Lions history is Calvin Johnson. And he didn't even flirt with 1,000 yards as a rookie. He had less than 8. So once I started diving into that, I'm thinking, look, I love Tesla. I think he's going to be good. Best Lions receiver in NFL in the history of the franchise 10 years from now. I don't know if I can, I'm not willing to stand on that island just yet, Will. All right. Just like you said, he hasn't caught a pass. I'm not even 100% sure he has a confirmed jersey number just yet, if I'm being honest. So, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when you were having the conversation with this person, because I would have sat there and thought, this dude's got to be messing with me. Like, this got to be like a, hey, gotcha moment, just JKing, but yeah. I can't get on board with all that talk, William.
Yeah. So before we were going to do an episode, obviously we had a conversation about it, but before we were making an episode, I had to dive into Twitter and just talk to some other football people that I respect, and nobody else was as far down the crazy train to me as that. Nobody was, but there were some people that were still flirting with, to me, the crazy train. So just a few things that have came out professionally. I'll go there. I won't even go to our Twitter people and subscribers and comments like that. I'll start off with that. Professionals, right? Or large number viewership podcasts. Crunch time. Quotes. The NFL is about to find out about Isaac Tesla. That's what they say. Woodward, right? Steve's favorite, Woodward. Isaac Tesla will be a difference maker for the Detroit Lions. Quoted there. Here's the best one. Here's the most important one to me, Steve.
Oh boy.
As none other than Brad Campbell saying, or Brad Holmes. Actually, Brad Campbell. I'll take that too, because Dan Campbell obviously feels the same way. But Brad Holmes stated that Isaac Tesla was his favorite receiver in the draft this season. He didn't say he was the best. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not misquoting him. He didn't say he was the best receiver, but he did say that he was his favorite. And he put his money where his mouth was and traded 172 third round picks to go get him at pick 70. So all of that leads me to this. I think that Brad is a genius. Some might say an evil genius or a villain. Brad is so smart. He's 3, 4 moves ahead in this chess game. I think that he understands exactly what Isaac Tesla is, which is an elite role player. He is an elite role player. He is a guy who is going to do some special things for the Detroit Lions. He's going to make some special catches. But I stand on what I said pre-draft. He's just a solid player. And by just, I just mean Calvin Johnson is special. There may only be one Calvin Johnson ever. Isaac Tesla is not Calvin Johnson. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I'm not saying I'm not excited for him. I'm not saying that I don't believe in him. But what I'm saying is, I think what Brad's doing is he understands the assignment. The assignment is get solid football players that fit in Detroit, but don't break the bank. Isaac Tesla is never going to break the bank. He's never going to get that St. Brown paycheck. He's never going to get the paycheck that I believe that uh, J-Mo is going to get because he's not that type of guy. What I see out of Isaac Tesla is this, and maybe I'm completely off base, Steve. Please let me know.
Oh, I will.
There's going to be a guy who makes tough 50-50 catches. Just sure hands. He's going to be a guy who Jared Goff can trust. He's going to be a guy who probably consistently goes out and gets you 700, 800 yards. Not because he doesn't have an ability to do more. Let's start with there's only one football in Detroit, Steve. You got to give some to David Montgomery. You got to give a little bit to uh, Gibbs. You got to give a little bit to Williams. Sam Laporta. He's going to want a little bit of football. So St. Brown's going to want the football. Khalif's going to want to get it every now and then. People forget about Khalif Raymond. We only got one ball. How's everybody going to have 1,000 yards? Like Isaac Tesla is going to be a guy who makes that third receiver money. He's going to be once he's up for a new contract. Hopefully, he's going to be around that under $10 million type stuff. You know what I mean? And Brad's smart for getting a guy like that in Detroit. Hometown guy, speed, size, wants to be here, right? He'll block. He'll do all of the things. That's the type of dude you want on your team and you need on your team. An elite role player who doesn't break the bank. Steve, is he more than that? Am I crazy?
Can you read me those quotes from those tweets one more time, William?
We can.
Can we back up to that real fast?
All right. So crunch time. The world is about to find out about Isaac Tesla. The world is about to be on notice.
Okay.
Woodward Sports. Isaac Tesla will be a difference maker for the Detroit Lions. A difference maker. Right. And then obviously Brad Holmes, favorite receiver in the draft. Not saying he's the best, favorite receiver in the draft. Traded, I believe, what was it, 3? Was it 3 third-round picks, 2,
It was
and
a
then 1
lot.
from the future?
We
Yeah,
moved up
so
like 70 spots or something like that. But I don't have any problems with those quotes or those tweets. A difference maker. I think he's going to be a difference maker. I can't say that he's not going to be an all pro or a pro bowler because he hasn't caught a pass yet. He hasn't even reported to rookie camp yet. That's another almost week away, 8 days away from right now. So I can't say that what he's not going to be, but I am pretty confident that he's not going to be Calvin Johnson. All right. That's the only thing I do know 100% because when you mention the name Calvin Johnson, or you could just say Megatron, if you're an NFL fan, you know who we're talking about. And a lot of Lions fans might not like this, but I don't think Calvin Johnson is the greatest receiver of all time. I think that's Jerry Rice. But I'll fight off an army of communists for anyone who wants to tell me that he's not a top 3. In my particular order, I would go Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson. And you can flip flop 2 or 3 perfectly fine with me. But Jerry Rice is the GOAT, one of one. But Calvin Johnson, man, he was just, I don't even, like, there's not even a word to describe what he was. Like, an absolute difference maker. Like, I watched that dude get triple teamed and still make plays. I watched that dude get bracket coverage his whole career and still make plays. I watched Matthew Stafford have no offensive line and no running game and still go out and throw him the ball and get 1,900 yards. Like, he was that kind of guy. Great, absolutely special to see. Glad we all got to watch him in person. It's a real shame if you're too young and don't remember it. I'll just tell you that. But I can't put Isaac Tesla in that group, Will. I don't think he'll ever be the Lions' best receiver in franchise history. I'll die on that island because I just don't see it. But I do think he can be a really, really good role player. To me, that's a difference maker. That's what Woodward said. As much as I, beef with them, I have to agree. I do think he will be a solid, solid difference maker. Will it be in year 1? Maybe, maybe not. If it's year 2, I still think that it's worth the trade up if he's a solid, solid difference maker. Probably not the, and I'll just say it, Will. I'm going to call bullshit on Brad Holmes. I don't think that he was his favorite wide receiver. He's got to say that now because he was drafted, but I wish someone would have asked him before the draft, hey, who's your favorite wide receiver? And I know he would have gave a vague, non-descriptive Will Ford type of answer and beat around the bush and not said it. But I know he wouldn't have came out and said, oh, my favorite wide receiver in the draft is Isaac Tesla. So I'll call bullshit on you on that one, Brad, but I get it. You're doing what you got to do. That's your job. But, well, I am higher on Isaac Tesla, but I don't see him ever being the Detroit Lions' number 1 wide receiver 5-6 years from now. But I do think he's going to be a solid, solid contributor, at least in year 2. I'm going to be more hopeful. I don't put a lot of pressure on rookies, especially when you're the Detroit Lions. Like, you're hoping that Brad Holmes hits another home run like he did a couple years ago when we got Brian Branch, all those guys in the late rounds. You're hoping that this is one of those drafts again. If it is, that'll put us over the hump. Those are hard to do, but I do think Isaac Tesla is the most intriguing offensive prospect that we've drafted since Jamison Williams. I know that the bar is not very high there. I know we've been a little trench heavy offensive line, defensive line, but I do think he could be a very, very solid player for the Lions.
I like the word solid, Steve. I guess my biggest issue is the wordplay. I'll say that. And by wordplay, I mean this. The comment of difference maker. I'll come out here and say, I don't have very many football X's and O's original ideas. And there's only so many things that you can do football wise. I'm the type of guy, if I flip this camera up or took it out into my library, you see probably at least 50 football books, man, from X's and O's to autobiographies to whatever, right? There's only so many things you can do per the rules, motions and formations and different tricks, that you can do. I say that to say this. When I've talked to going to coaches clinics or talking to guys that are way smarter than me, when they talk about defending and what they think about and what they worry about, they pretty much always map the defensive scheme around stopping what the other team does best. That's the first thing. If it's a team that's looking to pass the ball, we're going to stop that. If it's a team looking to establish the run, we're going to stop that. That's the first thing. The stuff that you want to do, they want to stop that. The second thing is, I'm going to stop the difference maker or the difference makers. So when crunch time, or I'm not picking on them, anybody refers to a player as a difference maker, that immediately makes me think of that. Would it be a person that Brian Flores is going, hey, we got the Lions tomorrow, or we got the Lions this week, Isaac Tesla, we got to stop him? I just don't believe that. I don't believe. I think you circle JMO, you circle St. Brown, you circle Ja, you circle David Montgomery, maybe. You're not circling Isaac Tesla. And you darn sure ain't doing it his rookie season. Yeah, because just difference maker, when I think of difference maker, that's what I mean in the word. It's like difference maker. You're keeping me up that night. I'm trying to figure out how the heck am I going to stop Justin Jefferson tomorrow? How the heck am I going to stop Jamar Chase tomorrow? Or Jamar Chase? I just don't think that's Isaac Tesla. Isaac Tesla is an elite role player, but I just can't remember, Steve, the last time a player has been talked about as highly that was drafted in the third round, like he was about to go set the league on fire. For some reason, a lot of Detroit Lions fans believe that he's going to set the league on fire. And I just don't believe that. Now, I pray that I'm wrong. I'm not hating on him. He's wearing Honolulu blue. I pray that he is Randy Moss. I pray that he's better than Calvin Johnson. It's just not what I believe is going to happen, though. Elite role player. He's going to freaking win 50-50 balls. He's going to be one of those guys that gets incrementally better every single season. He's going to work hard. He's going to block. He's going to be a hometown hero. He's going to be all of those things. But difference maker, I can't call him that.
Let me play a little devil's advocate, Will, because I was kind of going down this road and then you kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I think what could make him a difference maker is when you're mentioning all those guys in the team meetings, you're mentioning, how do I take away St. Brown? Check. Let's say I can do that. I can take away Jameis Williams. Okay. I can stop your running game. Who's next on the list to be a playmaker? To me, it's Isaac Tesla or Sam Laporta. But I think that puts him in a role to potentially be a difference maker. If those other two guys, and I don't think it's likely that you're shutting down JMO, the run game, and St. Brown and Laporta. But if for some reason it does happen, I think Isaac's the next man up. Like, I think he could be a difference maker if we can scheme some stuff, or maybe, all right, hey, they're doing a little double coverage on St. Brown, they're taking away some underneath stuff, and they're doubling JMO on the other side. The middle, they got a good linebacker matchup with Sam Laporta. Who's my next guy? In the passing game, it's Isaac Tesla. So I think that's where he really could be a difference maker, is if you're so focused on everything else that we have and you have the personnel to take it away, which no team does. I truly don't think so. But if you do, that's what's going to make him a difference maker as a rookie. Now, if he starts putting up these games where he's got 7-8 catches for 80, 90 yards and a touchdown, and you start having to, go into your defensive meetings and changing some stuff up and saying, you just throw everything out the window and say, hey, guys, we just got to hope for the best this week. Like, this Detroit Lions team has too many weapons. Like, that's where I think Isaac Tesla could take us, because it's unlikely you're stopping our run game. It's unlikely you're stopping our two best wide receivers. It's unlikely you're stopping a top 5 tight end. But if you do, I think that's where Isaac Tesla will shine, and that's what's going to make him that guy that a lot of people, myself included, believe. But I think if he puts up some big games, it just creates more stress for a defense. So I do think he could potentially be that difference maker, William.
Yeah, in that context, I could label him a difference maker. I just wouldn't label that necessarily a difference maker. What I'm hoping for him, Steve, is kind of exactly what you described. Was, to me, a guy, if you bring your third DB out there, problems, right?
Yeah.
Don't mess around and put a linebacker on me or something. Problems, right? That's what I see. Don't mess around and put a baby on me, because I'm a big body. Problems, right? Those are, I think he could be a matchup guy. He could be a guy who is, just like I said, an elite role player. One of those guys that he's not ever going to be the guy that you're saying is probably a Hall of Famer, right? But man, is he just freaking good, though? Like, just good. Just makes plays. You just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand why this guy don't get the ball more. It seems like he's just catching touchdowns when he does, or he's catching it 20, 30 yards down the field when he does. Like I could see him on, you know, running deep posts and digs and, just getting open, catching fade balls, that type of stuff. I could see it. I could see that type of stuff happening. I just don't see him being a go-to guy. And part of it is the football situation too, man. Like I said, it's the football situation. Only one football. We got some guys who are elite at their positions who are gonna get the targets. They're gonna be the player that we're trying to scheme open. So maybe down the road, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, maybe he could step into that role. Who knows? He has speed, he has size, and he seems to have the work ethic to go out and continue to just stack days on type of days. You never know what could happen in those type of atmospheres. Maybe we have a Puka Nakua type of situation.
That
You
would
know
be
what I mean?
nice.
Yeah, that would be cool. And again, I just don't want this thing to get twisted.
You
I
know what?
want him to be Calvin Johnson.
I'd be happy with him being. I've used this comparison before for Isaac Jordy Nelson. Like
Oh yeah.
Jordy, I was just looking at Jordy Nelson's stats for his career, and his best season was in 2014. He had 98 catches, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns. I don't think Tesla will ever get to that. So I'm just kind of trying to find like a middle ground here, where maybe I do think that Tesla could be 1,000-yard receiver, 10 or 11, 1,200 yards and 8, 9 touchdowns. I think is a difference maker. Is that going to be as a rookie? Probably not. Will that get you to a Pro Bowl or two? Probably. And I do think that is possible. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Steve, he's going to be the greatest receiver of all time." But look, I hope he is. I hope everything I said about him not being Calvin Johnson is wrong. I truly do, because that's great for the Lions. But I just think that's more of a comparable career. I liked watching Jordy, just looking at his height and weight. Like he's very similar build to what Isaac is to. Jordy was 6'3". I think Tesla is 6'4" and runs a 4.4 speed. Like, man, I do see that he could be. When you say he's not a difference maker, but he's an elite role player, well, I think it's really just like a fine line of what's the difference between the two.
Yeah,
What's the
for
difference
sure.
between the two categories? Like an elite playmaker, or would you say elite role player?
Elite role player. Yeah.
I think that could be potentially a difference maker. So I do think we're on the same page that he's not a guy that week one of the NFL, the Green Bay Packers are probably not going to be circling him and saying, "Hey, this is the guy we got to stop." But it is a guy week 8 or 9 where a team's paying attention to say, "Man, we've really got our hands full with this Detroit Lions offense." Hopefully that's the case.
Steve, I'm pulling on stats on a guy who, when I think about him, it's kind of what I hope for out of Isaac Tesla, and it's what I expect, to be honest. And you tell me if you feel this comp. To me, Tyler Boyd is what I want him to be. And when I think about Tyler Boyd, you got Chase, you got Higgins. Those are the guys. Tyler Boyd's pretty freaking good though. Like, and if Tyler Boyd was somewhere else, yeah, maybe he's 1,000-yard receiver multiple seasons. Now, I think Tesla probably touches 1,000 yards at some point in his career. Like if he has a 10-year career, he probably gets there a couple of times. Right. But when I look at Tyler Boyd's career, his rookie season, 2016, 600 yards receiving, injured in the 17 season. 2018 barely gets over 1,000 yards. That 20 yards over. 2019, 46 yards over. Then it's 841 yards, 828 yards, 762 yards, 667 yards. And then Tennessee, they had a quarterback situation. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? So, but that's what I expect out of him. I expect a guy who gets you about 800 yards and 50 plus catches. That's what I expect out of him. And that's pretty darn freaking good. If he turned out to be Tyler Boyd, I'd be, man, he's a dog. He's an animal. He's a beast. I wanted Tyler Boyd in Detroit. I wanted them to bring him in as a free agent, man. So that's what I expect. I'm just trying to just pump the brakes down a little bit, even for him, man. It's got to be pressure on his shoulders. He's coming back to his hometown. People are talking about his 40 time and his size and comping him to freaking Megatron and 1,000 yards and all of this stuff. Just let this guy get in camp, compete, and come out and be a beast of a freaking role player. And maybe, as you're saying, Steve, I can agree with that aspect, that description of a difference maker. Yeah, a guy that maybe catches some game winning touchdown, maybe a guy that's making some big plays in some big moments. I could see that. I just don't see this dude coming in and just putting us on his back and getting 1,000 yards. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Sometimes fans get carried away, Will. You remember, I forget what year it was. University of Michigan recruited a running back by the name of Derek Green. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
And he was supposed to be like the next Mike Hart, the greatest running back in Michigan history. Most people don't know that he's selling groceries now. Okay. Like these comps get out of control sometimes. Like, I don't know. We just gotta hone in some expectations. Hopefully, 10 years from now, you guys come on here where if we're still podcasting, you say, man, remember when you guys said he would never be Calvin Johnson? And maybe something crazy happens and he does put up more numbers than what Calvin did. But I don't know. Calvin probably could have played 3 or 4 more seasons and put up some crazy numbers too. So I got to take that into effect for any argument going forward. So I don't know. Well, we got to just tamper some expectations and think about what we're getting this year, how he's going to be in this system with a new offensive coordinator, some questions up front on the offensive line. Is he going to be featured? Probably not. Could it be a guy that makes a play or two and then maybe some offensive and defense or some defensive coordinators got to start paying some attention to him? Yeah, that would be a great, great help for us. But let's just see what happens. Let's get to spring or training camp before we start building trophies and giving him statues and retirement numbers. And I don't even know what number Isaac Tesla's wearing this year. William, do you off the top of your head?
18, number 18.
18. I probably could have got
Yeah,
there.
pulled it straight off of Jake Fromm. I don't know what happened with Fromm, man. He just, I don't know if he just walked in the room and said, "I'm home now. Daddy's home. Go ahead and take that off." Yeah, 18.
Jake Fromm is not even on the team. That's why that number's still. Yeah. They just peeled that old nameplate off and said, "Here you go, kid. This is what we got for you." You got anything else for tonight?
No, man. Let us know how you're feeling, man. I know there's a lot of people that are super high on Tesla, man. Let us know how you're feeling about him. Where do you see him? Do you see him in this Megatron range? Do you see him somewhere as an elite receiver in the league, man, and a role player? What do you see out of him, and what's your expectations?
I'd be happy with something between Calvin Johnson and Titus Young. Something in between there, William. That's a wide range. I thought Titus Young was going to be one of the greats. I think he's in prison now, if I'm not mistaken. I think he robbed someone. I don't know. I'll have to look that up when we get off air. Titus Young, RIP if you're still alive, or if you're not still alive. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.